Thank you, Deepa. Next is Dr. Shaik Ubaid.
I start by apologizing for being late. Traffic, driving all the way from Putnam County. I just decided to change and talk to you about what the member of the Muslim community, and especially activists, are going through and how they are coping with this. Because you will be hearing from the lawyers about all the legalese of this, and you just heard a very good historical background and analysis of what's going on. I will try to focus on why it's being done and who is behind this manufactured hatred. And I will also bring in a unique perspective coming from India, which is the largest democracy, and how things there, drawing some parallels and similarities from India. I call this a manufactured hatred because all the polls that took place since 2002, it shows a gradual increase in the fear of Muslims and distrust of Muslims. If it was a genuine, and I'm a neurologist, by the way, and I know how mind and brain works, and it's just, the fear that most Americans have after 9/11 is a genuine fear. Anybody was scared after such a monumental, terrorist attack took place. The hatred and the distrust should have been the highest immediately after 9/11, but it was not. So what is leading to this gradual increase of hatred and mistrust, which is being now used by the politicians to perpetuate and accelerate the assaults on the fundamental freedoms and on the Bill of Rights and other guaranteed freedoms that we have, and what it might lead to. If you look at who is behind it, the law enforcement agencies will do it because of their training, their psyche. They are trained to be mistrustful and suspicious of people. They even were suspicious of Martin Luther King, who wanted to make this problem an American Christian problem and not just Malcolm X, who wanted to make it a human rights problem and a universal international problem. So King was as dangerous to the establishment as Malcolm X. So that is there, and that is being exploited. But a unique factor is, as we saw historically, it's not a new phenomenon. It has been going on for the last many decades. And unfortunately, politics is the cause behind it. Muslims are considered as an existential threat to the expansionist policies of the Likud party in Israel. And whether you are a practicing Muslim or not, whether you care about Palestine or not, whether even if you do not know where Palestine is, you are considered a threat. The only good Muslim is not even a dead Muslim; it's a former Muslim kind of thing. So that is the reason you see why Newt Gingrich is getting all these millions and millions of dollars. Why the right-wing evangelical fundamentalists have coped up and are in cahoots and in bed with the right-wing Zionists. So this has led to a continuous and constant demonization of Muslims, and demonization has throughout history led to genocide. So and not for a moment think that America is too civilized or too sophisticated to be committing those mass crimes. I'll give you an example of India, Gujarat, the state where Gandhi was born. Today, if you take a poll of the high school students about Gandhi, which they did a few years ago, less than 4% think that Gandhi was the hero. 17% thought that Hitler was the hero, and Hitler is not even Indian. How did that happen? And the state where Gandhi was born is led by a fascist party. I'm not throwing away the term fascism just lightly. This party was founded after the responders went and met with Mussolini, and they founded RSS on the basis of Italy's fascist party, and later they took Hitler and Nazism as their role model. And then in 2002, in the post 9/11 world, they thought that the world will not care. So for political purposes, a pogrom took place in India. The party was trading badly with their last couple of by-elections. A train of Hindu militants caught fire, and till now nobody knows how that happened. And immediately after that, a well-programmed, a well-orchestrated pogrom was unleashed. More than 2,000 people were killed, more than 500 women were gang raped, and these are conservative figures. More than 150,000 were displaced. This happened in the land of Gandhi, in the state where Gandhi was born. And America was founded on a big genocide. Native Americans were first demonized, and the only good Native American was a dead Native American. And then we saw what happened to the population of Native Americans in America. African Americans were demonized as subhumans, and you can see pictures of women in their Sunday clothes with holding the hands of their little babies, standing there and enjoying lynching, and African Americans being roasted alive. So when a human being is made to fear someone, not only hate but fear someone, then it can lead to murders and murders at a mass scale. I mean, more than 90% of snakes are non-poisonous. But our basic reaction is when you see a snake, either you run away or try to kill it. So when Muslims are being made, into these big demons, that is leading to this gradual increase in and sustained increase in Islamophobia and hatred of Muslims, and that is leading, the politicians, who can sell their mothers. That's why most of them are there for their own good, to join this bandwagon. So the people who are behind it are evangelical fundamentalists who think that Islam is evil and Muslims have to be saved, and then the right-wing Likud party members and the right-wing of Israeli politics who think that Muslims are an existential threat, and then the politicians seeing where the wind is blowing, joining it, and that has led to a tremendous assault on the civil rights of not only Muslims, because remember, as you all, I'm new in this country, so and do not know much about history, but throughout history that has happened in America, from time of Andrew Jackson to even Abraham Lincoln, what he did, Woodrow Wilson. So when this war, like Deepa talked about, this war that is raging outside, the war of terror, it is a war that will have to be by nature waged inside the country also on the enemies, and Muslims will not be the only enemies. You can very easily unleash the genie of hatred from the bottle, but it's very hard to put it back in. And we see this happening in India. We see, here at least after 9/11, no pogrom took place, and being practiced, I said thank God for that. But it can, the way things are going. In America, NYPD is spying on us, but they are not engaged in fake encounters that's happening in India. We have, documented cases of, literally hundreds of cases of innocent men, women, and even children who are not only in jail but are also killed in fake encounters. And then, and people are sitting in jail for indefinite periods of time. And I had never thought that I will be fighting, these draconian laws in America. If you read articles especially by Greenwald, you will see all this, the debunking of this mythology that indefinite detention will not apply to Americans. Indefinite detention does not, broaden the scope of whatever is there in existence. At the same time, coming back to the NYPD's assaults on Muslims of New York. Again, drawing a parallel between what happened in India. When they have data bank of which apartments belong to Muslims, which business belong to Muslims, where they are living, it led to, in 1992, all over India, after Babri Mosque demolition, mostly in Bombay, but all over India, targeted killings of Muslims. Same thing happened in Gujarat. Why does NYPD need to know where the Muslims are living? What are their businesses? Where are the beauty salons, and where are the restaurants? And then we see that, like I said, it's just not being limited to Muslims. We see other South Asians, other people of color being caught into it just because, they look like them, or the businesses are being, catered to by other people. So, in this atmosphere, I belong to an organization called Muslim Peace Coalition. We realize that the allies of Muslims and the allies of the rule of law and Bill of Rights and the Constitution are mostly the people who are, anti-war groups, peace activists, people on the left, whereas so far the efforts mostly have been geared towards somehow getting political empowerment by quoting the politicians, and that's not going to happen. So what we, especially those of us who have been active, either from the African American background, who very clearly can see what's going on, but also immigrants. We got together and we formed this coalition called Muslim Peace Coalition, working closely with United National Anti-War Coalition and other peace groups. And when the Peter King hearings took place, and I happened to be from the Westbury Islamic Center before I moved to Putnam County, where Peter King was one of the persons who opened the new building. And it was a very calculated decision on his part to become an anti-Muslim bigot, because by that he can win elections and get all this funding and become an expert on national security. So what we thought that, only from a strategic point of view also, that to counter this tide, at the same time, from a principled standard, this assault is just not on American Muslims. This assault is on all Americans, on all human beings, because America's reach is global. And we see what happened to Murat Kunas, who was picked up from Bosnia, even though the Bosnian government, Bosnian High Court has ruled out that he has nothing to do with terror, and spent years and years in Guantanamo Bay, and then he wrote a very moving article of what happened to him. So this is an assault which is on all Americans and all people of the world. So I think the best way of countering this is, while the lawyers will lead the fight in the courts, but then Andrew Jackson said, let the Supreme Court, execute or implement a decision. I think we have to change this whole, public opinion, and that will be done if people who are not Muslims, people who don't look like Muslims, because unfortunately, even though America was built on slave labor and a great, segment of the slave laborers were Muslims, but unfortunately, over the last many decades, the successful campaign had led to this Muslims being some foreign guys, people like me with a beard and with an accent that everybody should be scared of. Even though when you come to the emergency room, I'm the one who's saving your life when you come with this probe. But if people who don't look like Muslims, who don't sound like Muslims, and then can communicate, then common Americans who have now been taught to hate and to fear Muslims will be able to grasp what's happening. So that was the whole thing, and that's why when we led this campaign against Peter King, we worked with Pax Christi and Interfaith Alliance and other groups in Long Island, and they led the movement while we were part of that. We were not hiding also. Similarly, for the NYPD, we see that, continuously things are leaking out in the press as to how extensive this surveillance of the police is. But then the support, on the other hand, you see the support of the police is also growing in the New York population. So unless New Yorkers start to see what's happening, in a post 9/11 city which was so heavily traumatized, it's going to be an uphill battle. But unless the New Yorkers start to see the great dangers, the long-term dangers that lie ahead, once our rights are compromised, the politicians will not care. We can have as many press conferences as we want, we can have as many rallies where not many people attend them anyway. So they will not. So, so what we are hoping is that people like you who are leaders and who are well aware of what's going on will accelerate their efforts and will take it to the next higher level, and will form a network all over the country and try to change the public opinion. That's what is going to be very, very important, because without that, we are not going to win this war. Japanese Americans suffered a lot, but it was for 5 years. This has been going on for many decades, and there's no end in sight, unfortunately. So I hope that meetings like this and other efforts that we are having will lead to that result. Thank you so very much.